There's nothing more Chicago than its hot dog, its corrupt politicians, or the uncomfortable feeling of entering street festivals and ducking the suggested donations. But there's something else that has quietly become ubiquitous in the city: these scooters. Lime scooters had sort of faded into the background for me, and I stopped noticing them. But one day I found my path on the sidewalk literally blocked by one of these, which naturally frustrated me. But once I started paying attention, I saw them everywhere, and occasionally they were parked in frustrating locations. Basically, I wanted to know, why have these things become the litter of the sidewalk? And what's interesting is that of all the 70 or so Lime scooters I filmed for this video, only around 10% were actually parked properly. This may be a slightly biased number because I was looking for poorly parked ones, but I don't think the actual number is that far off. Here is the list of rules on how these are supposed to be parked. They have to be on public property, upright with both wheels on the ground, not along any buildings, cannot block fire hydrants or bus stops, must leave 5 feet on the sidewalk for pedestrians, and critically must be locked to a fixed physical object like a bike rack or light pole, and you're not allowed to lock to bus stop signs or private fences. So most of the 70 failed the part where they're supposed to be locked to something. But I personally don't care at all if they're locked to something or not, because they're basically public, and I'm sure they're very hard to actually steal and get personal use out of. And honestly, I think that if they were all locked properly, this would make life pretty annoying for someone who rides a bike. Because I did a little research, and although Lime is cagey about the total number of scooters, I counted up all of them on the map in one of the densest parts of the city and found a Lime scooter density of around 400 per square mile, which is crazy. What's even more crazy is that they can be very clustered around busy intersections, and I found in some cases over 10 of them at one intersection. If those were all locked to bike racks and light poles, anyone needing to lock their bike up might have to walk a little bit. So I don't really see the point of the locking up rule. But that gets us to the really egregious ones, some of which are lying down, others of which are just blocking sidewalks. For a person like me, that's fine. I can just move them out of the way if I need to. But for someone with a disability, that could be a really large pain to deal with. And honestly, this just gives the city a bad look. These look really careless. So, what does Chicago do to enforce their scooter parking policies? Well, obviously, they don't care that much. On the Scooter Share webpage, it says to report a scooter parking issue, please use the 311 system. You can also report bad parking jobs in the Lime app. Vendors have supposedly 2 hours to remedy any parking complaints. Interestingly, it notes that vendors are required to review a minimum of 10% of all scooter parking photos to ensure compliance. Because when you park your Lime scooter, you are required to send a photo of where you parked it. But even if you park your scooter really lazily, there's a 90% chance they won't check it at all. And I imagine it's very easy to post a photo where they wouldn't be able to verify whether or not it was parked properly. But especially relevant to this video, by June 30th, 2025, Lime will be required to implement real-time parking verification such that it is actually checked that the scooter is locked and isn't blocking the sidewalk. I'm very curious how things will look at the end of June. My guess is that whatever Lime implements won't really work that well and things won't change, but if they do, I just really hope every bike rack doesn't become impossibly cluttered with these. Chicago's webpage also outlines enforcement escalating from warnings to fines to bans from the platform. The one thing it doesn't say is how much the fine actually is, which is pretty important. Clearly, it's not a large enough fine because we have the situation we have. But as I was going out and shooting this video, I noticed something extremely interesting, which was my own behavior. Because I found some really terrible parking jobs, and what I noticed is that I didn't do anything to move the scooters or report them, not one. And if I'm annoyed enough to make an entire YouTube video about this, and I'm still not putting in the effort to be the change I want to see in the world, my best guess is that no one else is either. So that's that. I guess we will see in a month and a half if things improve. Thanks for watching.